First of all, welcome to the class, the return of the heretic. So I'm so happy that you joined, and so let's see how we do this. This is all brand new, as you can tell, and so let's get started. And we did. Isn't it great? So to open up your physical system, not to make a big deal out of it, but it is essential in terms of, this is a cellular. This is a cellular healing that is going on. It is really, bringing every cell to life, letting every cell of your body hear this, what we're doing, and when we come into the communication of who we really are. That is so great. So that is this is one of the ways to do it, and I am happy that you're here. I see another friend. Hi, welcome. What do you sit there? Thank you. Hi. I'm turning this into speak a few. Otherwise, I get so distracted by all all looking at me. So now I see my own face. Not that that's so great, but
Now you're gone.
Hi, Robin. Great that you're here too. I'm going to pin my own face to this. So, the return of the heretic. Well, I cannot introduce this without telling something. Why am I doing this? Why is this happening? And of course, you know a little bit about where I come from in terms of what I studied or what my experiences are. They are connected to Joel Goldsmith, and I've given that like a lot of love, so to speak. I did what I could. I gave everything in that. And it's not that is stopping or anything like that. But if you go back a little bit, I'll turn this thing off. If I go back a little bit, I had my spontaneous awakening, say in '97. That was a full-blown experience of seeing that I'm completely being lifted out of this fabric, so to speak. I suddenly discovered the perfect synchronicity of everything, and that was something that shook me up, of course, like fundamentally. And so going through my process, being in the middle of it, being completely stuck in it, looking for something to occur in my life so that I get a bit of support in that I had to discover for myself. Suddenly I turn up in a group which was actually actively doing A Course in Miracles, meeting Master Teacher of A Course in Miracles, and that was around 2000, and staying with him for about 8 years, whether directly in the United States or in Holland or in Germany. So here I found myself. Now, the first thing that happened to me when I got to the United States was that I walked into somebody that came up to me and said, like, I want to be healed by you. I said, well, yes, let's go and sit down and see what happens, because I have no idea how to do this, but you asked me and I'm absolutely willing to give that. If I can be of any help in that, or being an instrument, I have no idea how to do this, but it will be shown. I totally trust that. And this guy I walked into was actually a direct student of Joel. So here I come to the United States to do A Course in Miracles and walk into a guy that's actually a direct student of Joel. So that kept me occupied quite a bit. So the Course in Miracles and the Infinite Way were like parallel in my awakening. They were always there together. I did practice the Course in Miracles, and I was with Master Teacher, teaching his direct revelatory teaching of A Course in Miracles. And So after that I was with him, I had to let go of his direct presence too, because he passed on. He was suddenly physically not there anymore, and he prepared us very well for that. But still, it was like a grieving process where I went through. So I really had to let him go. Also, the whole idea of being in a community like that, that I was in, say with about 150 people, we came together every day to celebrate the communication. And so the master was gone, and after a couple of years, I suddenly had like, oh, I'm really feeling that I have to extend myself with the infinite way, with the materials of Joel, because that's why I take responsibility for in this moment. And that's what I did for about 13 or 14 years. And now, since maybe a couple of months, master teacher is coming back into my awareness again in a way that is bringing me into my gratitude for what he actually gave me and is giving me every moment, like in his books, in his videos, in his talks, that the very specific thing that is my bond with him in that sense is what got me to really consider, okay, I'm going to give this back to him too, in the sense that I love to extend what he stands for and what he was actually expressing all the time. And that is quite something. It is quite something, because he taught pretty extreme in the, if it isn't that, then it's nothing. Or if you're not in an expression of love, you're dead. You don't really live. Like if you're not fully in an experience of love, what are you doing? You think that you're doing something. You think that you're in a spiritual process. See, he was very black and white in that, and that helped me to get that clear for myself. And it's not working for everyone like that, but I can only speak for myself, from coming from my own experience in this, and the love that I directly experienced from being in communication with him and giving that, as like having that as a gift to me on a daily basis is quite something. And to teach that, I don't know how to do that either. So I use Joel's materials a lot to try to express that in terms of direct communication and totality of being, and that is absolutely lovely. And so from now, since I start this class, I will not go into comparing both teachings or something like that. The most important thing for me is that I actually received the direct communication coming from Christ's mind, and whether that was emanated by a master teacher or Joel Goldsmith, I really could care less in that sense. It really doesn't matter to me. It's more like this direct Christ mind communication that is taking place in me is where I want to deeply come from, and also coming into the practice of having that as my extension, as my beingness, and whatever is needed to do for that, whatever is asked of me, or whatever I have to say yes to, or whatever I have to discover for myself, I'm totally willing to do that, because this is for me the opportunity to let that occur. So is it with this class. So The Return of the Heretic is actually one of the first books of him, one of the first, the first 7 years, where he actually is expressing, he's literally putting down the foundation of his discovery, of his direct discovery on a revelatory level. So that is quite something. You don't hear one talk that much that way. And so the words that he uses, and the way that he uses the words, you can hear that in the audios that are on YouTube now, at least some of them. You hear that it is in a certain sense different, because it's so it's coming so close to, I cannot really escape from any of this. Like there's literally no escape out of the construct that's being offered. It's a real setup for you to discover, like, oh my God, I can't believe it. This is actually true. I know this is true. But to say yes to that and to actually come into admitting that, or coming into the training or the use of it continuously is a whole different story. And so that's why I got the first chapter that we use today is the sip from the Holy Grail. And that's, of course, also a beautiful start sentence, or a beautiful way to enter into this. Also, the return of the heretic. Like, I love that idea. He literally came back to me. It's like, oh, there he is again. There he is again. Like, he's completely present in me. It's unbelievable. He's just coming to me and giving me the opportunity to read the book, to listen to the audios, and seeing how new this is all the time. Like, whether I didn't listen to it for 14 years or not, it's like, this is how new it is. It is so new all the time. And it's so good to hear it, because it reminds me of, like, there's no escape. There is no slipperiness of the ego, blah, blah, blah. No, this is like your decision. It's your responsibility. It continually is, I have to admit that. There's no halfway. There's no gray area. So he starts in the book with the idea of love. Like, you don't know what that is, otherwise you would not be here. You know, that is one of his expressions. Like, if you know what love is, you would not be here. And see, that is something pushing you right to your resistance in that sense, because it is, oh my God, I can't believe it. Don't I know anything about love? I thought I did. You know, it's like, well, what he's talking about is the love communication that is total, like, that is love expressing itself, seeing that there's no exceptions to it, seeing that there's a totality connected to it, seeing that there's no difference between you and me, and seeing that you actually cannot be here if you love, because you will literally dissolve into one another. So that's what I express many times. It's like, it's unbelievable, the possibility of experiencing that. It's like, if you would be able to see me, literally, to see me, you would disappear into me, because it is like love recognizing itself. You know, so there cannot be two in that. So it's literally like you collapse into one another. And because there are no two. So that's quite something. So there's all the opportunity to experience that, and to open yourself up more and more and more, not preventing you, not defending yourself from anything like that. Not defending yourself from the idea that there is no difference between you and me, that I'm literally talking to myself, but also extending to myself, but myself as a total expression, not as a limited conception. So that is what Master Teacher uses that a lot, and I love that, because if you have a love experience, you are not here. You're not even here. And you notice a little bit when you fall in love, and for a couple of days you're up in the clouds. And when you see the one back again, it's like, oh, so great, so great, so great. Until after a couple of days, suddenly there's the doubt about, like, well, am I going to stay with this person? Are we going to be together all the time? And what if you start to falling in love with someone else, or, you know, all this consideration? Like, how impossible is that? And at the same time, you don't need to do that anymore. So that doesn't need to be an exception anymore. And that is something that you literally have to practice, because you have all kinds of scenarios in your system, in your bodily system, where you actually start to feel the separation, where you're so accustomed to respond in a way of pulling back or responding to the intimacy that is there, that literally that you discover I'm losing myself in you completely, and but not seeing that as a thing that can happen with everyone, and that's basically is what you are. That there's no need to distinguish between this one and that one, or between you and the other one, or so that it has a lot of consequences. And the Master Teacher in this chapter says a lot about that, because he's telling you things like, why are you defending yourself? Against what are you defending yourself? And I don't know about you, but when I defend myself, I really feel a bit silly.
Are you ready, Kate?
Like, it feels a bit silly to do that. Actually, that you're not, that you don't have to defend yourself. You actually know that. So it's like you're really putting up an act of defense. And it's not going to be very effective either. So that is interesting, isn't it? To see that very very normal thing for a human being to do is to defend himself, and thinking that there's somebody having a different opinion, and that you have to do something against that. Despite the fact that there's no such thing as time, and that everything that you see is already over, the whole idea of defending yourself against yourself is a silly idea. If everything is you, why would you want to defend yourself? So these are fundamental ideas, and fundamental. Basically, you come to the construction, like the real fabric of truth, that it has no exceptions, that it is all-encompassing, that it is total, and it needs to be that in order to be true. So there is literally no exception to it. See, and this is really nice to come in touch with one who literally can express that and directly cuts with the sword, so to speak, with a two-edged sword, cuts off the ideas that there is an exception to it, like where you would be able to get away with. So that's not possible, and that will not happen. And you know that too. That's the trouble. You know all this. You know all that I'm saying. You already know that. There's nothing new about it. So I love that. And I love to go through this chapter a little bit. So I wrote down some, let me see, some, I wrote down some lines. Let me see. Oh yeah, this is great too. Like, very hard to get, because you're so accustomed to it, the idea of individual personalities. Like, there is no such thing as individual personalities. Well, try that. Try that as an idea. There's no such thing as an you separate from someone else, having different qualities, or, like all that individuality idea that is connected to your personality. And that to me is also a very interesting part to take with you. Like, there's no such thing as an individual personality. So that also has a lot of consequences. Like, it is not that you're not allowed to be there, or that you start to deny yourself. No, you just don't see yourself anymore like somebody separate from someone else. So you include everything in, and the persons you like and you don't like. It really does not matter. And so your idea about yourself, you let go of that too. Because your own individual idea about yourself is something that is like a persona that you take with you, but actually has no reality at all. And only you know about that. Like, it's not that everybody knows you like that. No, not at all. No. So this is a new way of looking at yourself, letting go of your ideas about yourself, because that is not what you are, and that is not what directly communicates, and that is not what love is. So to come into this universal experience of love, you have to let go of these ideas. And you know this, but it is continuously that you need to be reminded of it, because you try to build a persona all the time. Like, oh yeah, I'm really like that. Oh, I love this, but I don't like that. And step by step, you make parts of yourself that you created, you make that real. And that is just going to make you very unhappy, because it doesn't mean anything. It is nothing. And you don't need it for your happiness. That's the great thing. Just like we did in the silent meditation a moment ago. It's like so great to come together, be completely quiet, and actually start communicating. Imagine that in the government or in the United Nations, that Master Teacher is referring to the United Nations, I think. Like, imagine that you walk into the United Nations and people actually are quiet and starting to communicate directly as a whole. Like, then there would be no war, there would be no exception, there would be no conflict, you know. So we're so accustomed to defend our own opinions and defend our own idea about ourselves. Like, if you take a really good look at that, actually most of the day you're busy doing so. You actually try to define yourself continuously, and you don't need to be defined, because you already are divine. So what else is there to add to? You know, it's like, you are perfect, so there's nothing to add to it. I'm sorry. You have to give up doing so. It's not necessary to do that. So everything that you add to yourself, you will have to let go of too. So you might as well save yourself the trouble, and just skip that part. You know, it is like saving you time. It literally saves you time and energy, because look at how much you are defending yourself, protecting your own ideas about yourself. No, I'm this and this. I'm so and so old. I'm doing that and that, and that's what I did in the past. And this is my family, and these are my kids, and this is that, and da da da. Yeah, and I got this degree in Humpty Dumptiness. As Master Teacher says, like, oh, I got a degree in Humpty Dumptiness. Well, that's wonderful. Oh, yeah, oh, well, that's great. I have no credentials at all. I don't care about it either. Now what? So now maybe you don't like me anymore, because I'm not the same as you. I have different individual qualities, and my personality is a bit different too. So yeah. So what I was sharing is that actually not defending yourself saves yourself a lot of time and agony and pain, and so that's why this is great, to come together and remember that, and be completely confrontative in that sense with it, about it, for the good, for the good, because it is actually standing in the way of you to come into the direct experience of love, which is what you are. So you're actually denying yourself access to yourself. Ah, that's so great. I love that. I love that. So yeah, I'm happy that we're here, that we're relaxing, that we're taking a look at what actually is occurring, and whether we use the words of Joel, whether we use the words of Master Teacher, what does it matter? It just helps all. It helps us to take a look at ourselves, to take a look at what am I doing and wherefore? Where is that necessary for? What if there's a way that is completely different and doesn't take any effort at all? So let's see what I wrote down. Oh yeah, this is about the spiritual path. It's like you think that you're on the spiritual path, but actually you're denying your true existence. Like you're denying your true being, because you think that you're doing something. You think that you're in the practice of getting somewhere, but directly coming to it, you're actually afraid to completely disappear into what you are. So you're keeping that off and thinking like, oh, I only did this 1 year, or I did this 3 years, and I'm progressing. I'm doing pretty good with my spiritual path, and it's all fine. So you actually are observing yourself in the process, while you missed another chance, or you just missed another chance to completely disappear into the light and love of your being. Like, that is where we come together. That is what communicates. It has nothing to do with any ideas. No, it is a direct experience. It is what you are right here, right now. It has nothing to do with anything. So to think that you're not far enough, or that you're just starting on the path, or that this and this and this, is still a defense against it. So it's actual denial of your true identity. And it doesn't mean that you have to stop being on this spiritual path, but just be aware that you're actually continuously denying access. You're denying yourself access to the love of God on a daily basis, while you actually think like, yeah, I'm meditating. I'm sitting still for half an hour. I'm meditating. I'm doing this. I read a lot of Joel. I listen to a lot of videos. Well, that's all great and good. That's wonderful. I don't want to take that away from you. And at the same time, I'm inviting you to drop into the new experience that is you. And why not? Why not? Just because you're afraid. And that's okay. It's okay. You don't have to force yourself into anything. And so you have an opportunity to let go of that fear more and more and more and more, by letting go of the ideas about yourself, by letting go of the ideas of what you think your brother is or your sister is, letting go of ideas of what you think that is happening in your life, or where you find yourself. Like, all of that can be erased, can be let go of, without you losing anything. So then I come back to the silent meditation again, because I actually experience it when we do that. It's like, that's such a beautiful way to come together and actually just drop right into stillness. No, nothing else, nothing to add to it. I'm just opening up more and more and more, and discovering how spacious I can be. It's like incredible. It's unbelievable that is possible. And feel energy flowing through my system. Like, oh, so great. I'm so grateful for this to happen. Look at what is possible. Look at my direct communication with my Father. I'm actually able to come home in it, and then find myself here a moment later, which is all great. It's fantastic. So, but now I got in touch with this communication. See, and to be in a half-hour silent meditation is then just an opportunity to release some of that fear, because you see that you lose nothing. You see that you can be completely quiet and feeling really well. Like, you don't need to do something to feel well. Well, that's a discovery, isn't it? It is really great. It's lovely. It's so great. You don't need to do anything to feel good, to start to communicate with every aspect. So maybe there's a way to look at everything, and then seeing that this everything is like in relationship with me. So Master teaches this idea with the cup. So if you would be able to see the cup that you use every day to drink your tea or coffee or whatever, if you would be able to see that cup without any kind of idea, but seeing it as a whole holy thing, that would make it a holy grail. Like, it would give you the opportunity to discover something completely new, that actually everything is divine, going immediately beyond the form, but also including the form into that, and seeing that it is like, it tells you everything about the universe because you start to communicate with it. And you know this. You have been adoring a flower. You've been maybe driven to tears by seeing beauty, or an incredible sunset that really took your breath away. You know, these are little exercises where you suddenly discover the freedom and the expansion that takes place in your mind. And this is exactly what Master Teacher, what I am offering you in all the moments that we come together, to give that to you, because by giving it to you, I receive it myself too. By remembering it, I remember it with you. That is so beautiful with doing this in this way. So I would love to read a little bit from the book. Okay, so my eyes fall upon this, and it's everything that can possibly occur to you as you remember it has already occurred. Of course, there's nothing new. There's no idea that you could possibly have that has not happened. Huh? If it weren't, then we would run out of things finally. It would go to an end. Time would be linear. There is no linear time. You were never born, and you cannot die. Hello. Isn't that spectacular? There's no linear time. You were never born, and you cannot die. And everything that can possibly occur to you as you remembered it has already occurred. And if you look back at that, it's like, yeah, it has already all occurred. You know, it has already occurred. What else do I expect? Everything occurred. As I remember it, everything has occurred. It's all over. Like, it literally is over on a moment-by-moment basis. I can add some memories to it, but in the end it's just over, just as the rest is over. So there's literally nothing that you add to it. And this has quite a bit of impact too in this whole idea, because if there's nothing to add to it, and if there's no linear time, then what is happening? Basically, your world collapses, because the world, as you know it, is based on the idea of time. So here you come to the end of time. Suddenly you come in touch with the end of time. You have experienced everything. You have enough experience in that sense. You have all the experiences. They're all gone too, but you remember them. And that will always be like that until you see that you don't need new ones. They will add nothing to that. They will just be as over as the other ideas. See, and if you let that sink in a little bit, has an incredible impact on how you think about what you think your life is. So I'm just throwing this in, so to speak. And so take it in and see what it does with you, because it's literally bit by bit. It's really taking the mortar between the bricks away. It's like, yeah, this whole castle will fall. I remember one time I was in this experience of my world was collapsing, and I literally saw this vision, like I was this little guy knocking on the walls in my self-made castle that actually was a prison, and I was doing my best to protest against my imprisonment. Well, there was nothing keeping me in that. That's quite wild. But this is what we do as human beings. You defend yourself and you protect yourself against yourself, because you're the only one keeping yourself in imprisonment. There's nobody else doing that. And so those of us being codependent, or recognizing having codependent tendencies, you know this very well, that you think that somebody else might not like what you're doing, and that you're adapting yourself to that, seeing that in the end the other guy says, well, no, I never wanted that for you. No, I want to give you total freedom. It's like, wow, I must have done that to myself. That's something else. I can't believe that. So you recognize that this is what you do. This is what you have done. This is a remembrance that you have, that you no longer need to do. You can let go of that idea. You don't need to think that others think about you. There's no such thing as an individual personality thinking about another individual personality. Nobody's thinking about you. So there you are in your little bubble, in your dream, and knocking on the edges of that dream that you want to wake up. But actually, you're the only one that has to realize that. You only have to be completely aware that you're dreaming, and that nobody's stopping you from waking up. Nobody's stopping you from entering into a direct experience of the love of God, except you, because you're a little afraid. You're so accustomed to your isolation and your separation. You have tried at least to become comfortable in that, in your separation. You do your best for that because you want to have a good time, but you don't know how to do that in this limited idea about yourself. So right next to that, on a continuing basis, is God. Say, God in you, pouring love over you all the time. So the thing that you're actually looking for in the world, in your life, in your ideas about yourself, you carry that with you as a potential direct experience of the love that you are. And I carefully say the word potential because actually it is going on right now. You are, part of your mind is in a constant remembrance of this. That's why it's so easy when you sit still and come to yourself, literally, that you start to feel really good, that it start to relax and see that you're actually communicating, that you're opening up, and everything suddenly starts to make sense again. Well, nothing changed except your awareness of yourself. Okay, so I'm giving it another shot to read some of this from the master teacher. So here it is. Oh yeah. So these are all a bit like aha experiences. The questioner, he's a questioner. If everything you say is true, then why say anything? If everything of this that you're sharing is true, then why would you want to share this? So if there's no separation and there's nobody outside yourself, to whom are you talking? That's the question of the questioner. Somebody in the group there. Because you don't believe it? Yes. No, I don't mean now. Questioner. Oh, wait a minute. So the questioner says, is everything you say is true, then why say anything? And then master teacher says, because you don't believe it. The questioner, no, I don't mean now. And master teacher says, I didn't. I'm not. The moment that you actually believe everything I say is true and know that it is so, you won't be here either because I'm not here. I'm only here by your conception of me. I stand in the middle of your dream. I have disrupted the fabric of your consciousness and I'm saying, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. It's that simple. Never mind your ideas about it. None of them are true, period. How could they be? You are not true. Does that seem simple? Too simple. You say to me, if I'm not true, I might as well die and not be here. I'll say, okay, do that. Then you are getting close. Well, I don't think I'll die yet. Instead of that, I better go home and pay the milk bill. Aha, isn't that funny? Finally, all fourth level consciousness is an equivocation. It is in between stages of maturation, starting with very slow speed, mineral moving through vegetable consciousness, conscious of consciousness, on up through animal, finally onto this level, and on further, okay? Wake up, wake up. It's that simple. Never mind your ideas about it. None of them are true, period. How could they be? You are not true. You in your dream ideas about yourself are not true.
Yeah.
Because, see, Master Teacher says here, and this is where the crux is, where the invitation is immediately again.
No.
The moment that you actually believe everything I say is true and know it is so, you won't be here, either because I'm not here. See, and that is not like a magical saying or something. It's not like mystical talk. No, this is about your reality. Like if you actually hear what he's saying, you disappear into the love that you are, because it is actually alive what is being presented. And only by your conception of how this appears to be, do you think that there's another person talking to you? And do you think that you need assistance? Only by that. And it works because up to the moment that your fear is released and you come into a direct experience of love, that is over. That is gone. So then there's nothing more to say. That is so beautiful. But you can feel how subtle that is. It's like you're on the edge of it. When you're listening to it, you're actually on the edge of that. You can feel where you can literally almost like cross over, if you want. So it's that subtle. You have to let go of your ideas about yourself, not because they're not good or not this or that, or they're dirty or they're whatever. No, that's not what this is about. You let go of these ideas because they don't hold any truth about you. And coming to know the truth about yourself is actually coming into the direct experience of you. And you actually discover what that is. So, and that is the continuous invitation Master Teacher sends out in all his talks, in all his writings, in all his books, in all his tapes. Basically, Joel is doing that too, continuously. I and my Father are one. This is an experience of you as your totality. It is not just a concept. No, if you know that this is true, you disappear right into it. So you start to read like that too. But first of all, you have to come into, say, your self-forgiveness. It's just also a word, but you have to come into self-forgiveness where you allow yourself to not be what you think you are. So you allow yourself to let go of the ideas that you took with you, carried with you as a cross on your back. So you don't need those. They're actually an obstruction to a direct experience of yourself. Wow, that is so amazing. Wow. So yeah, let's have a little quiet time with some music since we got into it. See if I can find where all stuff is. That's so sweet.
Adam wasn't half so pleased when he met his Eve in Eden. Oh, her skin was like the lily white that grows in yonder valley. Oh, she's my queen and my heart's delight, the flower of my rally. I hope the day will surely come when we'll join hands together. Oh, 'tis then I'll take my darling home, in spite of wind and weather. Oh, and let them all say what they will, and let them reel and rally. Oh, for I shall wed the girl I love, the flower of my rally. And let them all say what they will, and let them reel and rally.
That was a party. It was great. Thank you so much. See you soon.